Financial conflicts of interest really disturb me. And this one in particular, everyone, involving Merrick Garland and the issue of CRT. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Trish Regan Show. I am Trish. We are brought to you in part today by Immunity Armor Gold. It's the most advanced immunity boosting formula you can get all in one product. I want you to go to immunityarmorgold.com and use promo code TRISH10 for 10% off. Again, that's immunityarmorgold.com, promo code TRISH10. I mean, this is really just incredible, right? This news that Merrick Garland actually has a financial interest by way of his daughter, by way of his son-in-law in CRT. You see, it's come out that his son-in-law runs a company called Panorama Education, which actually pushes CRT curriculum in schools all across the country. And they've been making a ton of money, 20 some odd $1 million in the last 3 years. They've raised $76 million in the last 3 years, well, between 2017 and 2020, according to their own website. And it seems rather problematic. I mean, to me, given that Merrick Garland is out there issuing memos, effectively, putting the FBI out there to go after families and parents who oppose or maybe just are questioning what their kids are learning in school. And according to this recent testimony there on Capitol Hill, it doesn't seem, he wouldn't tell us, it doesn't seem like he went and got any kind of ethics clearance on this. You see, if you're working in the executive branch of the government, you're supposed to abide by a certain set of rules. And part of that means not having your family members benefit financially from what you're doing and your policy that you're engaging in. But in this case, his daughter is married to a man who has a company that pushes CRT in schools. And then you couple that with Merrick Garland actually issuing that memorandum, now putting parents in a very precarious position where they worry about, can they go to the school board meeting and voice their concerns? Are they going to be investigated by the FBI? Are they the equivalent of some kind of domestic terrorist because they're concerned about what's being taught in school? Well, Mike Johnson, the representative from Louisiana, pushed Merrick Garland on this repeatedly in hearings this week. And he kept saying, did you get ethics clearance? Did you get ethics clearance? And Merrick Garland wouldn't answer the question. He just kept going back and saying the memorandum has nothing to do with what's being taught, etc. In other words, parents can ask about what's being taught. Well, I don't know about you, but if I'm a parent and the FBI is, basically accusing me of possibly being a domestic terrorist because I'm asking questions about my kids' curriculum, then maybe I'm not so confident about asking questions about my kids' curriculum. You understand what's going on here. This is an intimidation tactic. And now we're learning that there's a financial interest of sorts in this tactic. Again, I go back to Panorama Education. Started just in 2017, so pretty recently, kind of a new company, again by his son-in-law. Forbes did a really explosive story, Forbes.com, on this, showing that over 20 some odd $1 million has been made. They originally started in about 400 schools in 2017. That's expanded to well over 1,000 schools by 2020. This isn't good. Mark Zuckerberg's wife apparently has become one of their biggest donors there, and they tout that along with the $76 million that they've raised from donors. This is not good. I mean, this is a kind of push, a move to indoctrinate kids. I'm not a fan of CRT. You know that. This is something that came out of, wonkiness in law schools, and it's now being used in curriculum across the U.S., which, if you ask me, it actually is pretty sort of racist in theory because it's assuming now that people can't do things on their own. I mean, heck, think of how far we have come. We have a vice president, minority, woman in the Oval Office. We've had an African-American president in the Oval Office. I'll tell you, Condoleezza Rice has no use for this stuff. You should hear her sounding off. I'm going to play that in just a minute for you because I want you to hear her telling the ladies of The View just exactly what's what. Anyway, before I get to that, a quick word from one of our great sponsors, Legacy Precious Metals. I just had the CEO on the program the other day. It's very important to me that we're all diversified right now in our investments. One of the best ways to hedge out inflation that's here and is about to get much, much worse, as I have been predicting, is through gold. Gold trading right now around $1,800 an ounce. I can remember way back when it was less than $300. This is the way that you help to even out the reality of inflation. I mean, inflation's bad now, but even if it wasn't as bad as it is, over the last 20 years, the Fed has been pretty successful in targeting that 2 to 3% range, and yet the price of everything has gone up massively. The things that we consume, right? Food, energy, housing. So if you one day ever want to retire, you're going to make sure that your dollars are still worth something. And to do that, you want to be diversifying into other asset classes, one of which I believe should be gold. So give these folks a call at legacypminvestments.com, 1-866-589-0560, legacypminvestments.com. Use my name. Tell them Trish Regan sent you, 1-866-589-0560. They'll take really good care of you. Anyway, I want to get to Condoleezza Rice because she went on The View and they asked her about critical race theory. And here's a woman who has achieved so much and came from so little. But her point was that, anyone can do it. And that's the message that she was taught. And that's the message she wants every school child taught today. Listen to this.
Let me be very clear. I grew up in segregated Birmingham, Alabama. I couldn't go to a movie theater or to a restaurant with my parents. I went to segregated schools till we moved to Denver. My parents never thought I was going to grow up in a world without prejudice, but they also told me that's somebody else's problem, not yours. You're going to overcome it, and you are going to be anything you want to be. And that's the message.
Isn't that the message? That is the message. I grew up in a, little tiny town on a dirt road in New Hampshire. And at that time, not a lot of women were in journalism. I was always told you can be whatever you want to be, whatever that is. I never felt like anything was in my way because I was female. You should never feel like anything is in your way. If anything, it is our job as parents, as communities, to give kids every opportunity. And most importantly, the biggest thing you can give anyone is confidence and the belief that they can do it. I want to hear just a little bit more from Condoleezza Rice and what she had to say. Let's continue.
Let me be very clear. I grew up in segregated Birmingham, Alabama. I couldn't go to a movie theater or to a restaurant with my parents. I went to segregated schools till we moved to Denver. My parents never thought I was going to grow up in a world without prejudice, but they also told me that's somebody else's problem, not yours. You're going to overcome it, and you are going to be anything you want to be. And that's the message that I think we ought to be sending to kids. One of the worries that I have about the way that we're talking about race is that it either seems so big that somehow white people now have to feel guilty for everything that happened in the past. I don't think that's very productive. Or black people have to feel disempowered by race. I would like black kids to be completely empowered, to know that they are beautiful in their blackness. But in order to do that, I don't have to make white kids feel bad for being white.
Okay, you get it. She's spot on. This is all about everybody being the best they can be and everybody feeling empowered, because our commonality is this. We're Americans. And in America, we believe in equality. We believe in freedom. We believe in prosperity. That should be our common unifying factor, not the color of your skin or whether you're male or female or whether you don't identify as male or female. None of that matters. What matters is that we are united together as Americans and we believe in opportunity. And you don't put people down or tell somebody you can't get ahead because, your ancestors came here and struggled so hard. No. We're past that. Use that as an opportunity to teach, but enable every child to live the American dream. To me, that should be obvious, and that's the message. I fear, however, the Democrats have learned to weaponize race for political reasons, and they're going to continue to do that. Just a reminder, I want you to subscribe to this channel, subscribe to my newsletter. You can go to trishintel.com The newsletter comes out every single day. I'd love to have you here. It's really important that we have a direct connectivity given all that's happening these days with big tech. So go to trishintel.com, subscribe to the newsletter. Make sure you download the full audio version of this podcast on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And I will see you right back here on Monday, as always. Have a great weekend, everyone.